Okay, this is a part 2 update for June 24th, 2016. We're watching the western U.S. water vapor loop, and right now at 11:20 p.m. in the foothills of Los Angeles, we have a temperature of 65 degrees. The relative humidity is 76%, and the dew point is 57 degrees. And we have a barometric pressure reading of 29.94, and that's down a little bit from this morning. We had a 29.97-inch reading this morning around 10 a.m. So the barometer is dropping, and we're watching this upper level low pressure system move to the northwest into New Mexico and Arizona. We can see that there's a lot of monsoonal thunderstorms that are now winding into the core of that vortex right there. And also the channel of high pressure that was built in yesterday, has narrowed quite a bit. And but nonetheless, these thunderstorms here have not advanced any further than about halfway through Arizona, as was the case yesterday and today. So we're keeping an eye on how far west this weather will be allowed to move. In the meantime, we've got high pressure right here. We can see the clockwise rotation right here, and also this little moisture field right here is being sprayed with chemtrails. If we go and look at this in the water vapor, or rather the infrared loop, we can see there is some moisture right here, and it is actually being sprayed fairly heavily with these chemtrail jets. They're spraying aerosols over the top of that. That will negate the rain potential from this area of moisture as it moves towards California. We're expecting a big heat wave starting tomorrow. In preparation, they're installing high pressure right here in preparation for the continued northbound, northwest bound movement of this upper level low and the monsoonal storms that are right adjacent to that low. So, in preparation for all of this, what's happening here is that we see a transmitter is plowing a path right here, and we can see a square feature right here. This almost looks like a snow shovel just moving right along and plowing a path. And that's kind of what's happening. They're using microwave transmitters to do this. They're actually just plowing a path, and that will ensure that all of this moisture continues to wrap around and out to the east, so that nothing gets into California. All right, now the other thing is that this upper level low, which was parked right over British Columbia and Washington, this was sitting here for about 5 days, just sitting here spinning. It was a dry upper level low. It just sat there with no movement at all. And today, or rather this morning, or last night even, I think it started to move last night. But look at this now. It's almost halfway through Montana. So they're moving this system out of the way. A decision was made to get this out of the way so that when all of this moisture, these thunderstorms, and when this moves in, we're not going to have two upper level lows in close proximity. So that decision was made. They're getting this out of the way. This will move in to a point. They're hitting this with the microwave. You can see the core is very disorganized, particularly on the infrared loop. We can see that the core is almost dry. There's not a whole lot wrapping into the very core of that, and that's because they're hitting the core with the microwave. That's creating descending air, and we're getting a lot of basically dry-like features in the center of that system. All right, let's look at the big picture, the northeast Pacific, and we can see that there's also another upper level low out here, which has a transmitter focused all the way around the core. And what's happening here is we've got the eastbound moisture field right here moving, and it's just walling up right here. It's stopping. It can't go anywhere. It's running right into that this wall right here, which is isolating that core. If we look at this in the northeast Pacific infrared loop, we can see that there's quite a almost a square. There's almost a right angle right here where that transmitter is focusing all of its energy right here, and that's not allowing any moisture from this jet stream flow down into this core. And we had a similar, the same situation right over here for 5 days. When this system here was parked right over the corner of Washington, we had the same exact situation where the jet stream moisture field was blocked, like what we're seeing here. And this system sat parked for 5 days, right there, spinning with no moisture. It was a dry low, more or less. But now all this is on the move. We can see that the this transmitter is plowing a path and it's creating a lot of violent activity right here where the heat is being applied right at the very edge of that transmitter. Right there is where it's moving. And we can see the violent activity, the thunderstorms, all that heat is generating right there. So, in a sense, these transmitters actually amplify the violent activity of, of, of what's going on in the storm. In other words, when they apply heat right next to low pressure, we get high and low pressure right next to each other, and that's where all this violent activity is occurring. All right. Here's the visible light mode. We can see there's not a whole lot of detail to show. Let's go to the eastern U.S. water vapor loop, and we can see that entire low right here is moving to the northwest. All those storms are wrapping around and out to the east. Now this transmitter that's plowing this path is ensuring that all these thunderstorms wrap around and continue moving out to the east. Otherwise, it would flow right up into the vortex of this system here. So they're maintaining a very strong uh, uh, channel of dry air through here to maintain separation, but we can see that that's being breached. There's actually moisture from these chain of thunderstorms actually getting over into this area, and that's what we're seeing right here. So that's right there where the transmitter is creating this path right there, that big square, sort of a shovel head type feature right there. Next is the rainbow loop. We can see the intensity of the thunderstorms, the depth of the water vapor. Okay, everything's moving generally to the east. Here's the National Hurricane Center map. We have a new disturbance right here in the East Pacific with a 10% chance of hurricane formation. We'll keep an eye on that. Over in the Atlantic, this disturbance right here went from 20% to 10% yesterday, and now we have 0%. So the microwaves are very effective at preventing hurricanes, and this is documenting that. I'm going to make a prediction right now that we will not see any hurricanes in the East Pacific this season. None. I don't think we're going to see any hurricanes because of the attention that they're getting, not only from these videos, but others. They will probably allow a few of these to spool up into tropical storms, perhaps. But I don't think that we're going to see any major hurricanes or any hurricanes at all. Okay, let's look at the pressure maps. Let's look at the sea level first. And we can see a lot of high pressure installed out here depicted in the East Pacific. We have that, we've got a low indicated up here. There's a low right over this upper level low, actually extends all the way from sea level up to 30,000 feet. And there it is right there, right over Montana. That's that big low pressure that was parked over Washington for about 5-6 days, right over here. Now it's moving. There it is. All right, let's look at the 500 millibar map. We have a low pressure. This is that parked low sitting offshore with a transmitter on it. It's been parked there in place. It hasn't moved at all. Here's high pressure all through the area. We have low indicated right here. That's that upper level low moving into New Mexico. And then we have this. This is that low we were just talking about, moved from Washington over to Montana. So 500 millibar is 18,000 feet. Let's go ahead and look now at the 300 millibar, which is 30,000 feet. We can see that low, that upper level low right there. And we can see a lot of squiggly lines right here where there's a lot of different pressure readings right through this area. They're setting up high pressure right now, installing high pressure to block this chain of thunderstorms. So we're going to see a lot of strange things here. There could be ground-based transmitters supplementing what's happening from the space-based, satellite-based microwave. We also have a low pressure here. This is now moving. This is the same low right there. It's moving to the east. All right, now let's look at this is the SSEC water vapor map. We can see the chemtrail activity pretty well. I don't remember if I showed this map, but this is that clockwise spinning high pressure that's been put into place here. We have that tropical flow, which is coming out of the latitudes of Hawaii right down here at 20 degrees north. We can see that as this moisture approaches California, it's being heavily sprayed. There's lines all through this. You can see that. That's the jets spraying the chemtrails to prevent any sort of rain potential out of this moisture field as it moves towards this low pressure over here in New Mexico and part of Arizona. So they are ensuring that none of this foils their plans right here to maintain very dry, hot temperatures in order to block that weather right adjacent to Arizona and New Mexico. So they're spraying this. That will prevent any likelihood of anything developing right here. All right. Well, that's pretty much the summary. They're just basically clearing a path to ensure that all this weather stays well to the east. And we're seeing that none of this is getting past about halfway through Arizona. So that's going to be pretty much the end of the road for all that moisture, I think. Okay, so that's it. We'll do another update tomorrow.